Okay. So the performance. So again, I'm going to show you, about the performance and elasticity and productivity, practically how AWS is going to help you with that. And again, as I said, security is a myth. All along, we have been thinking for the last few years that, cloud is not secured. In fact, it's the other way around for all intensive purposes. But we also talked about why you don't want to go for cloud. You have your rules, like a healthcare rules. And oh, by the way, European Union has a rule that says that all the data in European Union must stay physically in EU only. So you cannot store any customer information, any European customer information in the US.
Yeah, that's the reason, Vamsi. Initially, I worked for Philips, right? They wanted to go with Salesforce, but that was the reason they did not want to put the data in Europe.
Yep.
So then
EU has those stricter data rules, but you can still with the cloud. You can still go with the cloud because there are a lot of data centers in the cloud in EU area. But the only thing is, EU data cannot be stored anywhere else. You can store it in Asia or Americas or anywhere. It has to be in EU only.
I think the same.
Go ahead.
Oh, I mean, the same restriction is available even in India as well, right? So, India on soil or something, like the data has to be there in the India only.
I see. I'm not familiar with it, Uma.
Okay.
There is probably it's possible. I don't know. But
I think it's true for China.
Sure. It's true for China?
Yeah.
I see. So China data cannot go anywhere, right?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Similarly, even India also, the regulation.
See, it's possible. EU started it years back, and I faced it with the EU. So we had to, for the big project that I was talking about, we had to stay in Frankfurt data center for that reasons. Because you cannot store any piece of information anywhere outside of EU. So strict. Okay, so we'll also talk about the reliability. We'll mention that. We'll talk in detail about it. These are all the advantages of cloud. And then let me talk about types of cloud. I think someone mentioned, okay, I think Karuna mentioned about OS patches and all, right? Okay, we'll talk about that. So you can take the entire cloud computing from two different angles. This is one view of it. So there are three types of cloud, essentially. One of them is called the infrastructure as a service. What it means is, with infrastructure as a service, you're talking about the physical servers or virtual machines and your RAM, your hard disks, and operating systems. They take care of everything. So this is where, if you want a machine, a virtual machine out there, and if you want to deploy your piece of code, so you want to go for the infrastructure as a service. This is what we call it the biggest, the public clouds, right? The cloud computing vendors like AWS, like Azure, Microsoft Azure, and Google Cloud Platform. These are all major infrastructure as a service providers. So they provide you physical servers, they provide you virtual machines, and you will be able to build a virtual machine using your code, or just by clicking on a button, clicking off a button, and then you'll be able to deploy your code in just minutes. So there is a second layer to that, is a platform as a service. In platform as a service, you don't have to worry about what server it is, what virtual machine it is, what operating system it is. So you don't have to worry about the lower part there. Pretty much, you have a piece of code. You have a piece of code according to certain guidelines. you package your piece of code and then deploy it somewhere. And you don't care how. You don't care how it happens. Your Pivotal Cloud Foundry, at least few people have talked about it in this class, right? Pivotal Cloud Foundry is a classic example of as a platform as a service. So you do a CF push. You don't care how. CF scale -I6, meaning you are scaling your application to 6 containers. You don't care how. You don't care how many virtual machines it's running on. You don't care what's going on underneath it. The magic happens. But all you have is a shippable piece of code that you just put it out there without having to worry about infrastructure. But your code has to be, compliant with the guidelines. Google App Engine is one of the classic examples. You can write. A lot of people here in this class are Java developers, right? You guys know Java very well. So Google App Engine, one of the classic examples. With Google App Engine, you can write a simple Java-based servlet application. Okay, and then build your web archive file, WAR file, and then deploy it into your Google App Engine. And you don't have to worry about the server. You don't have to worry about the operating system patches. You don't have to worry about the security at the operating system level. You don't have to worry about anything. You don't even know where it runs. You don't even know how many virtual machine it runs on. It will automatically scale. You just go put your piece of code and then magic happens. And AWS, I don't mean AWS there is a typo. So AWS has certain services that can go as a platform as a service. AWS Lambda, I mean here, it's a AWS Lambda. Okay. In fact, some people call it AWS Lambdas as a function as a service. We'll talk about that. Not a big deal. But essentially, in platform as a service, you don't worry about infrastructure. And the third one is, it's another layer of abstraction. This one is software as a service. Here, you don't even care about the code also. You don't care about the code. You don't care about the infrastructure. All you do is, someone else wrote it. You just use it. You configure it, use it. Salesforce.com is the best example. Someone said so Salesforce on this class just now. And Gmail, Google Docs, these are all software as a service. It's a piece of software, you just use it. You configure it. So you create your own account in Gmail. Yeah, as if you got your own, piece of software, right? But you just configure it. Salesforce.com, same thing. It's the same infrastructure underlying, if you look at it, same infrastructure, same platform, but you have your Salesforce.com here, and 1-800-Flowers can get a slice of it, and then let's say Uber gets another slice of it. You are not getting the infrastructure, you're not getting the code, you are just getting at the configuration level. That's at the software. So multiple people are using the same piece of software as a software as a service. That's any questions on that?
Yeah, I have a question, Venkat. This is
Yep.
Karuna.
Yep.
Yeah, I got the difference between the PaaS and SaaS. Like, in case of platform and service, yes, you are owning the application. Application is yours and not the rest. The rest is provided by the cloud. And software as service, yeah, that application is also, the product is provided by them. All you're doing is you're just creating an account and using that. And what is the, can you detail me about the infrastructure as service? Along with the product, are you responsible for the infrastructure as well? Do you
Absolutely. So this is where we will be spending time. So what we will be learning in this 1 month is actually infrastructure as a service. Okay. So the popular cloud providers like Amazon Web Services, Microsoft Azure, Google Cloud Platform, Alibaba, IBM, Oracle, all of them, they come under infrastructure as a service. So here you are dealing with the lowest level of abstraction, meaning you will have to physically, you have to get your virtual machine, Okay, I'll talk about what virtual machine is in a few minutes. But you will get your own slice of hardware. You will get your own machine, and you will install your application there. You will install your Tomcat there, and you deploy your web application. They are giving you a piece of our hardware, Karuna.
Okay.
That
Is
makes
it
sense.
same as the container as service in the Pivotal?
Not really. No,
Not
no.
really. Okay.
Here, right now, you're watching this on your laptop,
Yeah, yeah.
right? Okay. So within your laptop, if you are renting, let's say your laptop is 4 cores, right?
Mhm.
If you virtualize your laptop,
Mhm.
that 4 cores into 4 different cores, okay, or 4 different virtual machines, and then if you, as if you are renting some piece of your hardware to someone else, that is infrastructure as a service, and we will be doing it today. You will know in 1 hour, you will have your own virtual machine in the cloud.
Okay.
Okay.
Venkat,
Thank you.
this is Pranesh. I have one question.
Yes.
So recently I saw a requirement at Blue Cloud. They asked for SA software as service, and they also asked for BPAAS, which is business process as a service. So my question is it comparable to infrastructure IaaS?
Which one? Business process as a service?
Yes.
Not really. No.
Okay.
Infrastructure is the lowest level. This is
Right.
like see, you have an application, okay? You have an application and you need some hardware to run your application on. Okay, how many of you know what an Apache server is here?
I
You
do.
guys know Apache. Apache is a web server, okay? When you go to Amazon.com, your request, when you make a request to Amazon.com, your request is taken by a web server on the other side, correct?
Yeah.
Web server will give you a HTML page back to you. That's right. So all of your 1-800-Flowers.com that we are talking about, Alibaba.com, Amazon.com, Google.com, all of them are essentially that, right? I mean, I know they have a complex architecture underneath it, but essentially it's a web server that gives you HTML back. That's a web server, right? And now tell me, you want to build a web application. You have your HTML pages. Now you want to deploy them somewhere. How do you do that? Well, one option is in your local machine, you spin your Apache web server. Okay, deploy your HTML files there, and then give out your IP address to the world, and then say, hey, everybody come to me. That's one way, right? Or the second way is go buy some nice piece of hardware, like a server capacity, server level hardware, and then install like Linux hardware, get it, hardware, install Linux on it, and then install your Apache on top of it, and then make that a web server, and then give it to the world. That's a second way, right? Pretty much you are maintaining your own hardware. And the third way is, the quickest way is, ask someone else, like rent a piece of hardware from one of these cloud providers like Amazon Web Services or Microsoft Azure. Go get a piece of virtual machine there, okay? And then install Apache on top of it and deploy your application there. And that's your web server. Did you understand? Is it clear to everybody? And we are going to do that now.
Yes, Venkat. Venkat.
Karuna, did I answer your question?
Oh, yeah. I got you.
Okay. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Yes, so Venkat. If I understood correctly, the software as a service. So let's see, if we are using a SAP, SAP is nothing but is a software as a service for us only, or PEG or any other tool, obviously installed somewhere outside, and we are just using that to configure for some of our processes. That means it's kind of when we are using a software as a service. Correct me if I'm wrong on that.
You said SAP, right?
Yes.
Okay, SAP is a different beast. I don't want to say yes or no there. The only
Okay.
reason is, okay, SAP gave you a software. Okay, where are you installing that SAP? So SAP gave you a piece of code here. Okay, if you are installing on infrastructure, okay, that is platform as a service. But if SAP says that you don't even worry about, I don't even give you a piece of code, okay, it is all installed on my machines and my platform, okay, you don't have to have my code also, but you come to me sap.com, okay, or hr dot whatever the company, okay, you come here and you create account and use it. That is software as a service. So that's why I'm saying,
Okay, got it now. I got it.
okay,
Thank you, sir. Yep. So it can be anywhere. It depends on
exactly,
how do we use it. Okay, I got it.
you got it. Whether you are worrying about the piece of code or not, okay. So this entire course is going to be on this one, infrastructure as a service, and AWS is the #1 infrastructure as a service provider in the world.
Yep. Thank you.
Who are all the other cloud providers? When you say cloud, 9 out of 10 times we are talking about infrastructure as a service. When you hear cloud, we are talking about 9 out of 10 times it's infrastructure as a service. I mean, it can be maybe 9 out of 10 times is a little, exaggerating, but essentially most of the times it's infrastructure as a service. In some cases, it can be platform as a service, and it can be software as a service also. Salesforce.com is the best example for software. You don't worry about anything.
just to clarify, Venkat, SAP does have SAP as a cloud, except you go to that SAP as a cloud, which is maintained by SAP. If it is going to any other platforms, whether it's Azure or AWS or anything, it will be as infrastructure as a service.
Okay, let's bring up, let's beef up this diagram here. Okay, I like your example. So what you're saying is your SAP example, right?
Yeah, it has SAP as a cloud.
Let's say, yeah. So let's say they are on Microsoft Azure. They are running on Microsoft Azure. Okay, and they are running a SAP piece of code. They are running SAP on Azure, and they are asking you to come and use it. Okay, what is that one? SAP as a service?
Yeah, it depends upon, for example, if SAP is providing you as a service, they will maintain underneath cloud.
Exactly. See this one.
They can use Google, or they can use AWS, or they can use their own private.
You don't care. They can use Azure, they can use Google Cloud Platform, they can use Amazon Web Services, or they have their own cloud. You don't care how.
Yeah.
In fact, what kind of did they code this in Java, or are they deploying it as a Java, web archive file, or they built it in C# and deploying it as a common runtime environment, or C++ libraries? You don't care how. You understand? So you don't care about their infrastructure. You don't care about their platform. All you care about it is they're providing it as a service. You go there, use them as if it is yours, but you don't care about what kind of code it is built on, and you don't care about how many virtual machines are. You don't worry about anything. This is exactly like your Gmail, right? You don't care about the code. You don't care about where they run.
Yeah, we should, in SAP, it's a little bit different. We might need to ask them, for example, it depends upon the product. Again, there are hundreds of products again, right? So for example, if you are using their core ERP, it depends upon what version you're working. So even though it is SAP as a service, you'll have that leverage to ask, to tell them whether you want to go to certain version or certain support pack. It all depends. But if you are, for example, if they have like Ariba, Ariba belongs to SAP now. In the past, it's a separate entity, but it belongs to SAP.
Yep.
So, I mean, that will be working as a SaaS,
Yep.
software as a service.
You got it. You got it. You got it. So I'm hoping everybody got it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So let's talk about another dimension to the cloud, the cloud deployment models. Well, some people, almost everybody brought up here, what are the reasons for not going to cloud? We talked about it sort of in depth, right? So let's say you are a startup, Airbnb. How many of you know that Airbnb was completely built on cloud? They did not spend a single dollar on infrastructure. It was completely built on public cloud. Public cloud, when I say public cloud, meaning I'm talking about these the cloud providers, infrastructure service providers like Microsoft Azure, Amazon Web Services, Google Cloud Platform, Alibaba, and such. Okay. So Netflix, do you know how big the Netflix is? About $300-400 billion market cap. They do not have a dime in the form of infrastructure. They completely rely on AWS. Netflix does not have a single server. They're built completely on Amazon Web Services. Think about companies like Netflix that are running their companies. And recently, as you may have read in the news, that Pentagon has signed $10 billion contract with Microsoft, with Satya Nadella, right? With a $10 billion contract over 10 years for Microsoft Azure. So they are going to public cloud. So imagine Pentagon. Of course, they are government organizations. They're military. They get their own hosted, services, etc. It's not a multi-tenant. They will get their own, hosted environments and such. But essentially, public cloud means the complete infrastructure is provided by them, by the cloud provider, by third party, people like Amazon, people like Microsoft, people like Google. That's public cloud. A lot of companies nowadays, pretty much, initially it was started with small to medium companies, but now we are talking about the companies like Amazon, companies like Airbnb, companies like Lyft and Uber. They have zero infrastructure cost. So that's about the public cloud. And now hybrid cloud. Let's talk about the hybrid cloud. Okay. And somebody talked about Blue Cross. So Blue Cross has heavy infrastructure in AS400 and mainframes. These mainframes are not going to cloud until they completely re-architect it. But let's say they're working on a brand new application for 2020. Let's say Trump brought up a new policy and they wanted to implement it. This is going to be a brand new applications. 10 brand new applications need to be built for same Blue Cross. Does it make sense to be, just because they have been in-house, there is no reason for them to continue to be in-house. They can happily leave all the mainframe and all the legacy architecture in-house. They can build these next generation platforms in cloud. This is called hybrid cloud. So half of it or some of it, you have it in on-site, and some of it, you have it on the cloud. And if you still don't trust it from security perspective, some companies, what they are starting it is that their development and test and staging environments, their QA environments, they're putting it in the cloud because they can build it so fast. They can scale it so well. They can test it quickly, but they're not moving their production environments. They're leaving the production environments within the company itself because they're not ready yet. And in some companies, in my experience, what they're doing is they're putting the web servers in the cloud, but they're leaving the database servers in the on-site. That is a hybrid cloud. So you can achieve this hybrid in several ways. And the third one is private cloud, meaning you're completely on-site. You are not using any of the third-party cloud providers. You have your own dedicated on-prem infrastructure. But why did you use the cloud? Because they still use some of the concepts of cloud, like virtualization. So these are the three aspects of cloud. They popularly call it as cloud deployment models.
Venkat, what is the difference between private cloud and having a regular server? Like I would say I have my own infrastructure with the VAS environment, or I have private cloud. What is the difference on that?
So the difference is, if you have a regular on-prem, okay, if you're using, old school architecture without virtualizations, that is your regular on-prem. But the private cloud is, they're still using the concepts of cloud. There is a concept called virtualization. Okay, I will show you in a couple of slides what is a virtual machine and what's the concept of virtual machine and virtualization. Okay, these guys, they have the complete infrastructure on site, but they're using the concepts of cloud. That's what is private cloud. There are one second. So there is a concept called hypervisor. They use hypervisors for virtualization techniques. Okay, and there are some examples out there, like VMware is one of the examples, and VMware and what's the other one? OpenShift. They use OpenShift. So you can use this, but you are using your cloud concepts, virtualizations. You're building virtual machines. Does it make sense?
Yeah, it does. So then the cost effectiveness that we are talking about may not help on the private cloud. Is that
no? You got it. So you are still buying the infrastructure there, Ketan. You are buying the infrastructure, and you are taking care of the electricity for them, heating, cooling. You are responsible for everything. Actually, in some case, you are still responsible for all of that, but you are not having one physical hardware for every single app. Pretty much you buy one physical hardware and you will slice them, you will virtualize them. I'll show you how.
No. Yeah, so cost effectiveness, I lost that in the private cloud.
It's not just the cost effectiveness. Economies of scale, unfortunately, because Microsoft and Amazon, right? They are they're buying these millions of servers, right? So there is no way you can get that kind of scale. You don't get that any cheaper. So you don't get the cost effectiveness. You cannot scale them that fast also. Well, if you need another couple of virtual machines, absolutely you can get them in private cloud, no problem. But if you need 1,000 servers, right?
Yes.
You're not going to get it.
I see. Okay.
You will have to provision the servers, bring them on board. Yeah, unfortunately, you are stuck there, and it takes weeks, if not months.
Okay, I got it.
Sorry, someone was saying something and I cut them off.
Yeah, I just have a question. Is on-prem upgrade on-prem is the private cloud? Or,
yes.
Okay, then can we just put this as an example? Let's say you're using a cloud product
Mhm.
But you know, just hosting it locally. I mean,
Mhm.
just managing by yourself, infrastructure is by you.
Yep.
That can be the example too, right? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
So, but you're using, tools like OpenShift to virtualize your environment. And so you are getting some benefits, okay, but not your economies of scale, not like, you can't scale them super fast. No, you can't get any of them. You are still worrying about the low level stuff. Your networking, you are worrying about it. Your power, cooling.
Upgrades also, you know, we need to just, I mean, software
Absolutely.
upgrades.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you'll be manually
Absolutely.
doing it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Then,
And physical security, which is a big deal, right?
mm-hmm.
And you don't have to worry about any of that. And earlier I talked about the performance as one of the advantages, right? So what I mean by that is, so every now and then, once the hardware becomes, certain number of years old, all these third-party providers like Amazon and Microsoft, they'll just decommission them. They'll just retire that hardware and then they'll replace it continuously because they buy massively. And obviously that gives it different performance, but we can do that, right? Every couple of years, because they're buying this massive hardware and then renting the space. You can never be as efficient as them. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So what is AWS?
Venkat.
Yes.
One last question. So on this,
Oh.
so OpenShift, right? So OpenShift is nothing but it is a CAS. Container as a OpenShift is nothing but, is it a CAS? Is it a container as a service kind of?
Container as a service? No, it's rather actually virtualization software. I'll talk about it after this one. The next slide we'll talk about virtualizations. Okay, you'll understand better. Okay, what is Amazon Web Services? Obviously, it's already. It is infrastructure as a service provider. It's the most popular cloud provider in the world. It has more than 2,500 services or 2,400 services. What is a service? We'll talk about it, with a live example. It's the most popular one and number one pioneer in public cloud provider. Undoubtedly. Take a look at this chart here on the right side. Okay. This is Gartner Magic Quadrant. How many of you know what Gartner Magic Quadrant is? Any one of you have heard of this one? Essentially, what they do is, this company, Gartner company, what they do is, in each industry, they will pick up all the players and then they will scale. Completeness of vision is on the x-axis and the ability to execute is on the y-axis. Okay, and they provide who is where. Amazon Web Services, look at it where this one is. This is number one. And apparently Amazon Web Services contributes to 51% of the total cloud. 51% Amazon Web Services alone, followed by Microsoft at 13% or something. And then followed by Google and Alibaba. And of course, you have Oracle and IBM in the niche players area. So these are visionaries, these are challengers, but these are the leaders. So Amazon Web Services. Earlier, Ketan, you asked me, why Amazon Web Services? Or someone asked me. It's because these guys are way ahead of everybody in the game. Of course, it's Microsoft Azure is kind of catching up. And especially in the recent news that Pentagon has signed a $10 billion contract with Microsoft. So, but Amazon Web Services is undoubtedly the number one. Actually, they did not have a competitor for almost for 6 years. Shall I give you, a short story on how it all started with Amazon? So back in 2003, I believe. So Jeff Bezos asked somebody, Amazon.com is it's a retail store, online retail store, bookstore and retail store, right? So they hired a couple of people and say that, hey, we want to beef up our infrastructure. We want to increase our infrastructure to support the massive scale for Amazon.com. For Amazon.com, the website, right? The retail store. So can you take a look at our infrastructure and then give us some recommendations? As part of that exercise, they wrote a white paper and presented to Jeff Bezos saying that, hey, this is how your infrastructure should look like to meet the demands of the people for Amazon.com. And there they recommended that, hey, you are building the massive infrastructure for Amazon.com anyway. You can rent some of the infrastructure. You can give it out while you are not using it. That is how it was all started. So you are not going to utilize these 10,000, let's say 10,000 servers all the time. When you're not utilizing it, you can rent it out. So that's apparently how the entire story started with AWS. Okay, any questions on that? And they have a lot of certifications, Amazon Web Services. And I wanted to provide a brief slide on the certifications. The most fundamental certification is called Cloud Practitioner, AWS Certified Cloud Practitioner. This is the easiest one. And then you have associate level courses, associate level certifications, which is AWS Certified Solutions Architect Associate, SysOps Administrator Associate, and Developer Associate. And then you have your professional level, Solutions Architect Professional and DevOps Engineer Professional. And highly, highly respected certifications. These are not your regular, your Java certifications or, your Scrum certificate, some certifications. You really have to sweat to get certified. So you really have to work hard for it. And that is why they are highly respected. And these two are, especially this one, AWS Solutions Architect Professional is the toughest one on the planet right now. A couple of years back, I think they were at about 3,000 or 30,000 only. So yes, so this is what we are targeting. AWS Certified Solutions Architect Associate. My goal for you is to pass this exam. After my course is done, I have a clear path for all of you. Again, as I was telling you earlier, you are not taking a Udemy course somewhere, just doing it on yourself. I am here. You have a personal coach here, who helps you throughout this journey. And after my course, you take 1 month, sit together, sit tight, and clear this exam. That's all it takes. In fact, you can do it in 2 weeks also after my course, because I'm going to touch every single aspect required for this certification. But it's not just the certification. You guys know me. I'm a big fan of fundamentals. So you want to learn any concept as if you're building that concept. If you're learn, for example, Spring Framework, you guys know my favorite quote. I want to learn Spring Framework like I want to build framework like Spring. That's how I learn it. So I want you to learn the exact same way. So take the same energy. Any questions on that? Your resume will be at next level. Your career will be at next level. So after taking this certification, of course, you will have to market it like that too. So I know I see a lot of developers here, developer level, but you will not be a developer anymore. You should market yourself as an architect. Okay. because you have me. I'm here to take you through this. Okay.
And some of the course outlines here. You guys know about my website, nextstep.training.
So nextstep.training is the only website that you need to know. That's our communication. That's a collaboration tool. When do we meet? Well, Saturday, Sunday, 8 a.m. until 12. How do we meet? Well, I don't need to answer that because you're already here. And where to check for more details? My website. That's it. Any questions so far before we jump into? Do you guys want to take a break?
Yeah, like 5 minutes, Venkat.
Yep.